This video will illustrate how to create a gradebook in D2L. When you sign into your course, please go to Assessments, hit the drop-down menu, and click Grades. If you do not already have a gradebook set up, it will take you to the Setup wizard. We are going to Schemes first. If you do not want to create your own grade scheme, you can just leave percentage as the default scheme. It is on the 10-point percentage scale. However, if you like to make some adjustments to this, you can create your own. You can name it whatever you wish, and then put in the information here under ranges. It asks for a symbol, and it starts at 0%. So of course the first symbol must be an F. An F goes from 0 to 59. But if you are the type of person that likes to round up your grades for students, you may do it this way. So an F would be 0 to 59.4, a D would be 59.5 to 69.4, and so on and so forth. As you can see, you do not have enough space to put the B and the A. So anytime you need to add a range, you put the number of items that you need. So we need 2 more. And then hit Add Ranges. And now you have 2 more. So you can go B, and A. Again, this is another option that you do not need to do, but if you choose to, I actually use this in my own course and I find it very valuable. It's choosing a color scheme to go with each grade. So when the student signs into their gradebook and when the instructor signs into their gradebook, you can see just from a glance how well a student's doing based on the colors that are being shown. So I like to choose for my F something very bright, so I choose red. And you can go in choosing colors that you think fit. Of course, you might want to explain your color scheme to your students so they understand. And then you hit Save and Close. In order to make it default, the scheme that you just created, you must click the little check mark under Set as Default. It will ask you if you are sure, and then now you see it has been moved to green as default scheme. Then I want you to go to Setup Wizard. Once you set up a gradebook for one of your classes, you can copy it or import it into your other sections. So you do not have to create the same gradebook over and over again. You will need to create different gradebooks for different courses. So for instance, Psych 201 would be different from Psych 203, Bio 110 would be different from Bio 112, and so on. So once you go to Setup Wizard, please click Start. Most people will be using the weighted system. If you use the points-based system, you may click Points. But since most people will be using the weighted system, we will be doing this for the purposes of this video. So click Weighted. This is where you create categories of percentages, just like in Campus Cruiser, and hit Continue. You must have Calculated Final Grade selected. You may adjust the final grade at the end if you like, but this is necessary for the final grade to be released. Here you must select in Step 3, Drop Ungraded Items, and automatically keep final grade updated. If you choose Treat Ungraded Items as 0, the student will start out the course with an F, and that will not change until you put all grades in. So make sure you have Drop Ungraded Items selected. Hit continue. As you can see here, it says choose default grade scheme, but as we have already addressed schemes, the scheme that you have just created should be your default scheme. But you can change it if you want to have multiple schemes for different classes, for different reasons. You can have multiple schemes that you can choose from. Leave the number of decimal places to display at 2. This shows that if they have 79.45 on their final exam, it goes to 2 decimal places, so we just leave it at that. Here's where you can make some decisions. This is where the student can see, the student view display options. If you want them to see their points grade, so for instance, if their exam is 100 points and they made an 80 out of 100, they would see an 80 out of 100. The weighted grade would how much of the weight of that exam did they achieve? The grade scheme symbol is A, B, C, D, or F, and if they made an 80 out of 100, that would be a B. The grade scheme color needs to be checked only if you chose to use this function in the scheme area. Otherwise, they can't see it. Down here, number of characters to display for text items, leave it at 50. What this means is you have 50 characters to use to title your grade items. So when you title your grade items, exam 1, you have 50 characters to use for that, but I seriously doubt you will ever need all 50. And then make sure display final grade calculation to users is selected. Hit continue. Step 7 is just a summary that goes through and shows you what you've already selected. If you decide to change your mind on something or you realize you made a mistake, you could always hit go back. Make the correction and then go back to the end and hit finish. It will take you to this screen where you can create a new grade category or item. But you can also create these items through Manage Grades. You have to create your categories first before you can create your items. So go to New, Category. This is very similar to the categories you created in Campus Cruiser. So let's say one of our categories would be exams. How much weight out of the total grade do exams count? Well, let's just say they count 40% of the total grade. Then you have an option. You can manually assign weight to items in the category. For instance, you may want to do this if one exam counts more than the others, and you can assign that to have more weight than the others within the category of exams. Or if you don't want to do any of the work and they're all weighted the same, you can distribute weight evenly across all items. You may also at this point designate if you want any items dropped. You can drop a certain number of lowest items within this category only. So let's say you want to drop the lowest exam. You may say drop lowest exam. Or, I'm not sure why you would ever use this, but it is an option. You can drop one of the highest items. So you would drop the highest exam the student achieved. Down here where it says display options, you can hit show display options. I don't really see the need for this, but I just wanted to let you know that they were here. Within the student view, in certain categories or grade items, you can display the class average to all students or the grade distribution in a graph form to all students. You can also manipulate whether they see points grade, weighted grade, grade scheme, or grade scheme color within each individual category or item. But most people just ignore this. If you are done creating categories, you hit Save and Close. If you would like to create other categories, you would hit Save and New. So let's say I would want to do discussions from the discussion board. And it is also worth 40 points, and I want to distribute weight evenly across all items, I would then hit Save and Close. So now I have two categories. I'll create one more. So now we're at 100%. Now you need to add items within the category. So we'll go back to exams, hit New, Item. Most people will use numeric, but you do have other options that you can choose from. Please feel free to explore these. But for these purposes, we're going to use numeric. And I will say exam 1. And then you choose the category. Well, this belongs in the exams portion. The maximum amount of points is the maximum amount of points for the test or assignment or project, whatever you are doing. Usually it's 100. As you can see, the weight is 100. If you chose manually assign weight, you could manually assign the weight at this time. And it would not be dark because I can't click on it. But since it's automatically calculating it, it will do it. It would adjust it as I add more items. You can also exceed here. Anytime you have a question, look for these gray circles with the question marks, and it can explain what an item is. This allows you, or allows the student to exceed the grade of 100. So let's say you give a bonus question on the exam and it takes the student over 100 points. You need to click It Can Exceed for this student to be able to exceed. If this is just a bonus item, you don't want it calculated in the final grade, or you don't want it calculated in the weight system, you would click bonus and it will be added on top of the final grade. Your grade scheme should always be the default scheme. You can add a rubric if you need to. Rubrics will be addressed in a later session. And you hit Save and New, because I'm sure you want to create more than one. Hit numeric, put your next item in, choose the correct category, maximum amount of points, and as you can see, the weight has changed. And there you go. If you realize that you made a mistake in a grade item or a category, all you have to do to edit is click on the drop-down arrow, hit Edit Grade Item, and it takes you right back in. If you need to delete or reorder information, go to More Actions, hit Delete. You can choose whichever one you want to delete and hit Delete. So let's say I want to delete Project, and now it's gone. If you need to reorder something, click Reorder, and then you can reorder things. So let's say I want discussions first and exams second, and there you go. Now, some faculty were concerned because with Campus Cruiser, there was a published and unpublished option for grades, which you could hide certain grades from students until you were ready to show them. And that is also a possibility here with D2L, but it is a little different than what we are used to with Campus Cruiser. If there is a particular grade that you want to hide for a period of time, what you will need to do is go to the item. Let's say I want to hide exam 1, drop-down menu, edit grade item, and go to the next tab, which is called restrictions. If you want to hide this grade item, you just hit hide, save and close, and now you see there's a little eye that shows that it's hidden. And then when you want to reopen it, just do the same thing and hit grade item is always visible, or grade item is visible for a very specific date range. Now I'm going to show you how to enter the actual grades. If you go to Enter Grades, you will see the gradebook. You can click in to a grade item and just put in the grade straight from here. You don't have to click publish or anything. As long as you put the grades in and hit save, there they are, and it automatically begins to adjust the final calculated grade. I don't want to put grades in yet. You can delete grades just as easily. When you first sign in to the gradebook, you may see a different view than this, because this is the view I usually use, but a lot of you will see this view first. This is the weighted view, but if you ever want to see the other, just go to switch to spreadsheet view. Another thing that you're required to do before you release your final calculated grade, in order for the student to see what do they have currently in the class, an A, B, C, whatever. You need to go to where it says final calculated grade, hit the down arrow, grade all, select all students, release and unrelease. So as you can see now, they are released because it says release final calculated grade and there are check marks. So after you've selected all the students, you hit release, unrelease. If you make a mistake and you need to unrelease the grades briefly, you can just go in here and click it and they can't see it. But as the semester is progressing, you want them to be released so the students can keep track of the grade. Save and close. If you want to deal with just a particular student, just like in Campus Cruiser, just click on their name and you can go through and add grades there. And you can go through students without having to go back to the other. If you want to do only one column, you can do that as well. Here you can provide feedback which is visible to all students about this particular item. If you have an assignment, a quiz, a test on D2L where the student signs into D2L and they take the quiz and it's automatically graded, the grade will automatically show up in the gradebook. If you go into Dropbox or discussion board and grade the item within Dropbox and discussion board, you can release the grade to the gradebook from there as well as providing individual feedback. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like from the student view. This is a test account. This is not a real student, but this is what it would look like from a student's point of view. A student will see assessments. They will go to assessments and hit grades, and this is what will pop up. It will show the weight achieved, and they can click on the calculator to see how their final grade has been calculated. It shows them their actual grade, B, and you can see here the little color. Down here it breaks it down individually per assignment, what they made on points, what weight was achieved, their actual grade, and any comments that you might have made. If you decide to drop any assignments, it will let the student know that this one has been dropped. If you choose to do a rubric, and like I said, that will be handled later on in another session, but they will have access to it and they can see their rubric and what points they made and their total score. There is one other area that you can go to view a student's progress, and a student can view their own progress by clicking progress. But as this is a test student, this function does not work, but for real students it will work. But I will show you what it looks like from the faculty point of view. To view user progress, what you would do is go to Edit Course and then click View User Progress. And it will give you a class list, and you select the student you're interested in. It gives you a breakdown or a summary of all the items, but then you can go to each individual item and also view their login history. or their grades. You can use these arrows to go to other students and just keep going without having to go back to the class list. Well, that's about it, and I hope this helps, and I wish you the best of luck in creating your gradebook.